Hey everyone, I was not going to make a video on this originally, but when I opened it up, I saw some things inside that made me decide otherwise. This showed up locally. I'm told it was taken to a shop because it was having, the typical popping sounds that are characteristic of these X3X Pioneers. This is an SX-737, in case you couldn't tell. So as you know, I've made some videos on actually this very model, the SX-737. I talked about how there's some problematic transistors that they use in the power amp stages, preamp, phono preamp. And it's not like those videos were the first time anybody's ever talked about this. Like, these transistors have been known to be problematic for years. People have talked about it in the forums plenty of times. It's been covered a lot. That being said, if you're a technician and you work on this stuff and you're at least into it a little bit, you should know that there's good replacements out there. They're readily available on Mouser or DigiKey, and that's what you replace those transistors with. Well folks, let me show you what happened. When this person got this thing back from the technician, who took weeks and lied about how long it was going to take every time they called, they turned it on and they heard a loud pop from the inside, and they told me that a resistor fried. So I said, okay, I don't know about that, but I'll take a look when I see it. Alright folks, do you see what's going on in here? I want you to pay attention to the left side of the power amplifier board, and I want you to compare it to the right side. Anybody who's ever worked on these or is a technician or has repaired this, their jaw is absolutely on the floor dropping right now, because this quote technician decided to put TO220 power transistors where you would normally find TO92s. So this is just sad, folks. It makes me really angry, sad for the customer that somebody would brand themselves as an individual who knows how to work on this stuff and can fix things, and they give it back to the customer and it literally starts smoking. It's even worse than when it was before they gave it to them. I mean, look closely here. These are used transistors. You're supposed to have the same type of transistor right here. They're not even the same one. These leads are bent up. They're clearly not new parts. They didn't even bend this one back correctly. And that's the other thing too. They replaced every single transistor in the power amp stage. These driver transistors, they're not original. And if I were to show you back here, the outputs that they used, they don't even have a marking on them. They're just no-name random outputs. So I'm going to have to pull those and check to make sure they're NPN and PNP in the proper place, because I can't trust anything this person has done here. This is completely screwed up. I'm going to have to very carefully go through everything and make sure every resistor is in spec, every transistor is a reasonable spec for what we're trying to do here. It's just sad. It's just really, really sad. All this person wants to do is have a vintage receiver that works. And, prices for these have gone through the roof, and people pay a lot of money for these things, and then they pay even more money to take them to garbage technicians who don't know what the hell they're doing. And then this happens, and it ends up in my hands, and I'm not happy about it. It makes me really sad. This is such a cool hobby. These things are so awesome, but there's people out there that make this kind of painful. Not to mention too, this thing reeks of oil, and look at this. You can see, why is there oil there? What were they thinking putting oil there? Everything on this thing is oily. I think they used straight up oil to clean these controls. There's oil all over the contacts in the back for the RCAs and stuff. It's not this stuff. I guarantee you it's not, because I know what this stuff smells like. This smells like valve oil that I used on my trumpet when I played in school. I'm happy to make this right for the customer. It's just just really wish I didn't have to do it, you know. I guess I'll go through here and start playing around with this right channel. I mean, I did turn this on the dim bulb and smoke did start coming out of it, so I will have to tear this apart, test everything. It's going to take me way longer than it normally would, and well, I'll just report back once I figure it out. Okay, so a quick update on what's been going on here. I removed all transistors from the left channel of the power amplifier board. Can't really see it from where I was showing, but let's start up here. You know, these were the differential pair and bias transistor. These all checked out good, but they are far from the correct transistor. Whoever put these in here thinking this was okay seriously lacks any common sense with working on this. The driver transistors I pulled. They're actually not original to the board, so I don't know why they were replaced. I don't really ever see driver transistors fail, but I did look up the data sheet on the originals, and it said that they're supposed to have a minimum gain of 50. So let's just show you the one driver transistor right here. I'm going to show you the gain of this transistor. It is 4. That's like nothing. It's supposed to be 50. So somebody looked at this and said, yeah, put it in. So I've got some MJE 15030 and 31s ready to go in. Those are kind of overkill for driver transistor, but I think it's going to be okay. I wasn't exactly comfortable putting 1220 and 2690 in there like a lot of people had recommended. So we'll see what happens when I turn it on. And then last but not least, we've got these no-name outputs that have no marking on them at all. And I pulled them just so I could you know, test them and make sure that they were proper NPN and PNP. They're both blown up, so I will never know whether they put these in right because they are shorted, which is just incredible. What's even more interesting is like they're both shorted, but the dim bulb didn't light bright. So that's very interesting. And then this resistor here, it's actually a functional resistor. It's supposed to be 150, but it's been upgraded to about 1.1K. So that's one way to increase the value of a resistor, is you just put way more current through it than it should see. And maybe the resistance will go up after it turns black and smokes a bunch. Yeah. Added bonus. I just noticed they wrote PNP and NF into the heatsink here. So I've just been jamming for a minute here because I got all of this stuff replaced. This is my temporary fix right here. I don't have a 150 ohm, so I've got a 180 3-watt because that's just the closest thing I have. I'll get an actual 150 eventually. But as you can hear, it's working. Like, it's not even on the leash. I've got that plugged straight into the wall. No dim bulb. And so we've got the fresh outputs, fresh drivers, fresh bias transistor, fresh diff pair. Here's all the old junk that was taken out of here. These are blown up. These are the worst idea ever. And then these drivers, whatever, you know. So, luckily this wasn't too hard. I'll tell you what though. I was able to set the bias to the 20 millivolts like the service manual says. And when I went to turn the bias pot, it was crunchy. Like, it would not turn at first. So like, that thing had so much current going through it that it's basically cooked itself, and it does not turn smoothly anymore. I wish I'd gotten that on video. Like, it gave serious resistance when I was trying to turn it at first, but somehow I got it to work in a way where it's giving me 20 millivolts, but I don't like it. I'm gonna get a replacement for that, because that has no business being on there after going through that much abuse, really. So at this point, you know, we gotta get these guys taken care of so we don't have the same thing happen over here.
and then at that point it's gonna be, you know, replacing them on the preamp, replacing them on the phono preamp. Anyways, I'm happy with this. Good news so far. So I think this is at the point where I can kind of wrap up this video. You know, like I showed you, I got the power amp board fixed on the right channel. I went through and decided to just restore the entire thing. So we've got all new capacitors on here, we've got the correct replacement transistors, and even though the bias pot on the right channel was okay, I decided to make it look just like the left channel and give it a brand new Burns 100 ohm trimmer pot. Because y'all gotta see this. I'll put it on the table. This is the old one, and as you can see, it's like melted where all the bad things were happening. So yeah, not okay. It trimmed okay to the correct resistance for setting the bias, but not okay. I went through and restored the power supply too, because this appears to be a higher hour unit based on what I've seen. Lots of capacitors with stuff under them, so happy to take care of that. And then I don't feel like lifting it up, but I did the preamplifier, phono preamplifier, and protection circuits. There was actually some other work underneath the receiver and some of the worst solder joints I've ever seen. I'll put a picture on the screen of what I saw. Just, yeah. Glad I looked. Let's just leave it at that. Then just kind of went through and briefly cleaned everything up top here because it was a little dirty, as you remember. Tuner board's looking a lot nicer now. I'll be wrapping this thing up pretty shortly here and getting it back to the customer. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you don't ever find anything as atrocious as that, though I'm sure you will, unfortunately. And I'll see you in the next video.